The Veneri Empire's flagship Eternal Dawn emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Admiral Vexthor stood on the command deck, his scaled hands clasped behind his back, as he observed humanity's first extrasolar colony through the ship's quantum imaging array. A satisfied smile played across his features. This would be the easiest conquest of his career. The humans had only established their presence beyond Earth 50 years ago, making them mere infants in the galactic community. Their technology appeared primitive: chemical rockets, basic fusion drives, and rudimentary energy shields. The Veneri Empire had been conquering worlds for 10,000 years, their mastery of quantum mechanics and dark energy manipulation allowing them to crush any resistance with ease. "Status report," Vexthor commanded, his voice carrying the distinctive musical undertones of his species. "My lord, we've detected approximately 300,000 colonists on the surface," his tactical officer responded. "Their defensive capabilities are minimal: a handful of orbital platforms and a small fleet of system defense vessels. Nothing that could withstand even a fraction of our firepower." Vexthor nodded, mandibles clicking in anticipation. "Send the standard ultimatum: surrender or face annihilation. Give them one planetary rotation to decide." The message was transmitted, and the response came swiftly, not from the colony, but from Earth itself. A human appeared on the main view screen, wearing a simple gray uniform with no obvious rank insignia. Her expression was eerily calm given the circumstances. "I am Director Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Initiative," she stated without preamble. "We've been expecting you, Admiral Vexthor. Your reputation precedes you." The Admiral's inner eyelids flickered in surprise. He hadn't identified himself, yet this human knew who he was. A minor detail, probably gathered from their rudimentary spy networks. "Then you know resistance is futile," he replied smoothly. "The Veneri Empire has never failed to conquer a world we've set our sights on. Surrender now, and your people will be treated humanely as productive members of our society." Director Chen's smile was subtle but present. "We appreciate the offer, Admiral, but I'm afraid we must decline. Humanity has no interest in becoming part of your empire." Vexthor's tactical officer couldn't suppress a laugh, quickly stifling it when the Admiral shot him a warning glance. "You cannot seriously believe you can resist us," Vexthor said. "Our smallest destroyer could lay waste to your entire colony." "Perhaps," Chen replied. "But I wonder, Admiral, have you ever asked yourself why humanity has maintained such seemingly primitive technology, despite having the capability to colonize other star systems? Why we've never demonstrated any significant military presence despite the obvious threats in our sector of space?" The question gave Vexthor pause, but only briefly. "Your technological development has been slow, because you are a young species, nothing more. Do not attempt to bluff your way out of the inevitable." "Not a bluff, Admiral. An invitation to reconsider." Chen's expression hardened slightly. "We've studied every conquest the Veneri Empire has undertaken in the past century. We've analyzed your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We've prepared accordingly." Vexthor's patience was wearing thin. "Enough of this posturing. You have one rotation to surrender, or we will begin our assault. And I promise you, Director Chen, it will be thorough." "One rotation," Chen repeated. "That's more than enough time. I look forward to demonstrating why that was a mistake." The transmission cut off abruptly. The Admiral turned to his tactical officer. "Scan their entire system. I want to know everything they could possibly throw at us." The next several hours were spent in meticulous observation. The Veneri sensor arrays were the most advanced in known space, capable of detecting the smallest energy signatures and material concentrations. They found exactly what they expected: a relatively small defensive fleet, basic orbital infrastructure, and no sign of any hidden superweapons or advanced technology. "They're completely outmatched," the tactical officer reported. Their entire military presence in this system couldn't destroy even one of our support ships. But something was nagging at the Admiral's instincts. The humans' apparent confidence didn't align with their obvious technological inferiority. He had conquered 32 worlds in his career, and none of their leaders had displayed such calm in the face of overwhelming odds. As the rotation neared its end, Vexthor ordered his fleet into attack formation. 150 ships, arranged in the Empire's traditional spearpoint configuration, prepared to deliver a crushing blow to humanity's first extrasolar colony. The tactical officer began the countdown to engagement. Attack formation confirmed. All weapons charged. Time to optimal firing range. 3 minutes. Vexthor allowed himself to relax slightly. Whatever game the humans were playing, it would end shortly. His fleet was invincible, his victory assured. That's when the quantum sensors detected something impossible. Massive energy signatures were suddenly appearing throughout the system, signatures that hadn't been there moments before. The tactical officer's voice rose in alarm. "My lord, new contacts appearing everywhere." They're coming out of nowhere. Vexthor rushed to the sensor display, his heart's pounding. Where there had been empty space seconds before, hundreds of ships were now materializing. But they weren't appearing from hyperspace. They were simply fading into existence, as if they had been there all along, invisible to even the Venari's advanced sensors. Director Chen's face appeared on the view screen again, this time wearing what humans called a grim smile. "Admiral Vexthor," she said calmly, "allow me to introduce you to humanity's real fleet." Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Marcus Rivera watched the battle unfold through quantum-linked displays. The culmination of 20 years of preparation was finally playing out exactly as planned. Around him, the massive underground complex known as the Forge hummed with activity as engineers and technicians monitored the performance of their secret weapons. "Phase shift cloak performance at optimal levels," reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of the Stealth Systems Division. "All ships maintaining perfect quantum invisibility." She allowed herself a small smile. The Venari didn't detect a single vessel during the entire deployment phase. The Forge stretched for kilometers beneath the Martian surface, a labyrinth of laboratories, manufacturing facilities, and testing chambers that had been constructed in absolute secrecy. While humanity had presented a facade of technological simplicity to the galaxy, they had been working tirelessly to develop countermeasures to every known alien technology, and several that had never been seen before. Marcus moved to another station, where holographic displays showed the Venari fleet's reaction to the sudden appearance of Earth's true military force. The alien vessels were breaking their precise formation, trying to adapt to a situation their tactical doctrine had never prepared them for. "Send the activation signal to the quantum disruptors," Marcus ordered. "Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with." Across the system, the newly revealed human ships began powering up their primary weapons. Unlike the crude fusion-based weapons the Venari had observed in Earth's defensive fleet, these were products of decades of focused research into the fundamental forces of reality itself. Admiral Vexthor's voice crackled through the quantum interceptors. "Impossible. They're ships. They're using technology that can't exist. No species at their development stage could have." "That's exactly what we wanted you to think," Marcus whispered, though the Venari commander couldn't hear him. He turned to another screen where Director Chen was delivering humanity's response to the Venari fleet. "For 50 years, we've maintained a carefully crafted image of technological inferiority," Chen was saying. "Every public display of our capabilities was designed to convince potential aggressors that we were harmless. Meanwhile, facilities like the Forge have been developing technologies that surpass anything the Venari Empire has ever encountered." The displays showed the first wave of quantum disruptors engaging their targets. Beams of coherent energy that seemed to bend reality itself lanced out from the human ships, bypassing the Venari's shields completely. The crystalline hulls of 3 Venari destroyers shattered simultaneously, as their quantum structure was unraveled at the subatomic level. Dr. Rivera, one of the younger engineers, called out, "The Venari are attempting to adapt their shields. They're modulating their quantum fields to match our attack frequency." Marcus nodded, having expected this. "Initiate Protocol Hydra. Show them why adaptation won't help." The human fleet's weapons shifted instantly, each ship's quantum disruptors adjusting to a different frequency. What had been a uniform attack pattern became a chaos of energy signatures, overwhelming the Venari's defensive computers. Their shields, designed to handle consistent, predictable forms of attack, couldn't cope with weapons that changed their fundamental nature between each shot. In the command center of the forge, Marcus watched as more screens lit up with data from other secret projects being unveiled for the first time. The neural network combat AI, developed in isolated quantum computers, was coordinating the entire human fleet with efficiency that no organic commander could match. Temporal sensors, another technology the Venari had considered theoretically impossible, were predicting enemy movements seconds before they occurred. "Sir," Dr. Tanaka called out, "we're detecting attempts at quantum scanning from the Venari flagship. They're trying to analyze our technology." Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. "Let them look. Activate the quantum mirage protocols." Any attempt by the Venari to scan human technology would now return false readings, carefully crafted deceptions that would lead their scientists down dead ends if they tried to replicate what they were seeing. It was another layer of protection developed during the long years of preparation. The main display showed the Venari fleet's formation continuing to deteriorate. Ships that had fought in perfect coordination for centuries were now operating independently, each commander trying to find some way to counter attacks that defied their understanding of physics. "Director Chen is requesting the Forge's status report," an operator announced. Marcus checked the facility's main systems. The massive quantum computers were running perfectly. The prototype fabrication units were ready to produce replacements for any lost equipment, and the research teams were already gathering data on the Venari's combat performance. "Tell her the Forge is operating at full capacity," he replied. "All systems are green, and we're ready to begin Phase 2 of the operation." The message was sent, and Marcus turned his attention to a special display showing the progress of Project Prometheus, perhaps the most ambitious of all humanity's secret developments. Deep within the Forge, a device was powering up that would demonstrate just how far humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics had progressed. "Prometheus initiating primary sequence," announced Dr. Elena Santos, the project's lead scientist. "Quantum field stabilized. Timeline calculations complete." She looked up at Marcus with fierce pride in her eyes. "We can proceed whenever Director Chen gives the order." Marcus nodded, watching as the Venari fleet continued to struggle against weapons and defenses they couldn't understand. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, developing technologies in secret, while presenting a facade of primitive simplicity to the galaxy. The Forge had been their crucible, transforming theoretical physics into practical weapons of war. Now, as Project Prometheus hummed to life beneath the Martian surface, the true extent of humanity's technological leap was about to be revealed. The Venari Empire was about to learn that their centuries of conquest had come to an end, not through force alone, but through humanity's patient, methodical preparation for this very moment. Fleet Commander Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the EDS Hyperion, her expression focused as she watched the neural network combat AI's predictions materialize in real time. The Venari fleet was reacting exactly as the simulations had projected, their rigid military doctrine becoming their greatest weakness against an enemy they couldn't understand. "All ships, execute Pattern Sigma," she commanded. "Initiate Project Prometheus on my mark." The human fleet moved with impossible precision, each vessel shifting position in perfect synchronization. The Venari's traditional spear point formation had completely collapsed, their ships now scattered across space in desperate attempts to find effective combat ranges against an enemy that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Admiral Vexthor's voice boomed across all frequencies, a final attempt at maintaining control of the situation. This is impossible. You cannot have developed such technologies in secret. The Empire's intelligence networks would have detected. That's exactly what we counted on. Maya interrupted, her voice calm. Your intelligence networks look for what they expect to find. We gave them exactly that. Primitive fusion drives, basic shields, nothing that would worry the mighty Venari Empire. On her command display, Maya watched as Project Prometheus reached full power. Deep beneath Mars, the quantum device that humanity had spent decades perfecting was about to demonstrate its true purpose. She took a deep breath, knowing that what came next would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. All ships, activate temporal shields, she ordered. Prometheus activation in 3, 2, 1. A wave of distortion rippled through space, visible even to the naked eye. The Venari ships closest to its origin froze in place, caught in a localized temporal field that slowed time to a near standstill. Their weapons fire, already launched, hung suspended in space like frozen lightning. Temporal containment field stable, reported the Hyperion science officer. We have successfully created a controlled time dilation effect across the entire engagement zone. Maya allowed herself a small smile. The Venari had always believed temporal manipulation was impossible, that the energy requirements would be too vast for any civilization to achieve. They hadn't counted on humanity finding a way to harvest zero-point energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations, another technology developed in secret beneath the Martian surface. Second wave, begin your attack runs, she commanded. Target their command and control nodes first. The human fleet moved through the temporal distortion field effortlessly, their shields adapted to compensate for the time dilation effects. To the trapped Venari ships, the attacks would seem to happen instantly, too fast for any defense. The quantum disruptors fired in precise sequences, each shot calculated by the neural network combat eye to cause maximum strategic damage. On the Hyperion's main viewer, Maya watched as Venari ships began to shatter, their crystalline hulls breaking apart as quantum forces overwhelmed their structural integrity. The few vessels that managed to escape the temporal field were immediately engaged by flanking squadrons, their desperate attempts at counterattack predicted and countered before they could even begin. "Commander," her tactical officer called out, "we're detecting power spikes in the remaining Venari capital ships. They appear to be preparing to overload their quantum cores." Maya had expected this too. The Venari doctrine called for self-destruction when defeat was certain, a final attempt to deny their technology to their conquerors. But humanity had prepared for this as well. "Activate the quantum containment fields," she ordered. "Let's show them another surprise." Fields of pure energy sprang into existence around the Venari capital ships, containing the growing power signatures. The alien vessel's attempt at honorable suicide was denied, their final act of defiance prevented by technology they hadn't known could exist. Admiral Vexthor's flagship, the Eternal Dawn, hung suspended in the temporal field, its weapons frozen mid-fire, its engines flickering in a futile attempt to break free. Maya opened a channel to the trapped vessel. "Admiral, I'm offering you a choice. You can either surrender now, or we can leave you in that temporal field until your life support runs out. Either way, the Venari Empire's expansion ends here." The response came after a long pause, Vexthor's voice carrying none of its earlier confidence. How did you develop all of this without us knowing?" "Because we understood something fundamental about the Venari Empire," Maya replied. "You've been the dominant force in this sector of space for so long that you've become predictable. Your technological superiority made you arrogant, and your arrogance made you blind." She gestured to her tactical officer, who released a small portion of the temporal field around the Eternal Dawn's bridge, allowing its crew to move and respond normally while the rest of the ship remained frozen in time. "While you were watching our primitive colonies and dismissing us as harmless, we were studying everything about you. Every battle, every conquest, every technological advancement you made became data for our research. The Forge wasn't just developing weapons. It was developing specific counters to every aspect of Venari military technology and doctrine. On her tactical display, Maya could see the rest of the human fleet moving methodically through the battlefield, disabling the remaining Venari ships with surgical precision. The neural network Combat Eye was adapting its strategies in real time, learning from each engagement and becoming even more effective. Your empire has never faced an enemy like humanity. Maya continued, we don't fight for glory or conquest. We fight to survive, to protect what's ours. And we've spent 50 years making sure that when this day came, we would be ready. The quantum sensors showed the last Venari ship being contained, the battle effectively over. In less than an hour, humanity had completely neutralized a fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. But Maya knew this was just the beginning. Now, Admiral, she said, her voice carrying the weight of authority that came from absolute victory, shall we discuss the terms of your surrender? And after that, perhaps we can talk about the future of galactic politics in a post-Venari Empire era. In the Grand Council chamber of the Venari Empire's capital world, chaos reigned. The quantum transmission from Admiral Vexthor's defeated fleet had sent shockwaves through the Empire's highest echelons. Supreme Commander Ixilvan watched in barely contained fury as the holographic recordings played again. The impossible human ships appearing from nowhere, weapons that defied physics, and most horrifying of all, the temporal stasis fields that had rendered the Empire's most powerful warships helpless. This cannot stand, one of the council members hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. We must mobilize the entire Imperial fleet. These humans cannot be allowed to possess such technology. Ixilvan raised a hand for silence, his crystalline eyes reflecting the tactical displays showing the full extent of their defeat. You still don't understand what we're dealing with, do you? This wasn't just a military defeat, it was a complete validation of human strategic doctrine. The chamber fell silent as he continued. For 50 years, they watched us, studied us. While we dismissed them as primitive, they were analyzing every aspect of our society, our military, our technology. They didn't just develop countermeasures, they developed perfect countermeasures. Another hologram activated, showing Director Chen's face as she delivered terms to the captured Admiral Vexthor. The human's calm confidence was unnerving to the assembled Venari leadership. Your empire has expanded through fear and superior technology, Chen was saying. But you never considered that someone might let you believe you were superior while preparing to prove you wrong. Every primitive colony ship we launched, every basic shield generator we deployed, they were all part of the deception. The Supreme Commander gestured to a series of tactical analyses. Our initial reports indicate that human technological development didn't follow any pattern we recognize. They didn't gradually advance their technology. They made quantum leaps in specific areas that perfectly countered our capabilities. The neural network Combat Eye, one of the military analysts, spoke up. It predicted our tactical responses before our own commanders could implement them. And their temporal manipulation technology. Our scientists had declared it theoretically impossible. Ixilvan moved to the center of the chamber, his voice carrying the weight of revelation. We're not just facing superior technology. We're facing an enemy that has spent half a century preparing specifically to defeat us. Every strategy we might consider, every response we might make, they've already simulated it, already prepared for it. The quantum communications array suddenly activated, showing multiple emergency transmissions from across Venari space. More human fleets were appearing near key Imperial worlds, each demonstrating the same impossible technologies that had defeated Admiral Vexthor. They're not just defending their colony, Ixilvan realized aloud. They're launching a coordinated offensive across our entire empire. Every strategic position, every critical resource. They're targeting everything simultaneously. The tactical displays updated in real time, showing Venari fleets across the empire falling into the same traps that had claimed Vexthor's forces. The humans had perfectly predicted how the Empire would respond to the initial defeat, using that knowledge to prepare simultaneous strikes at every crucial point in Imperial space. A junior officer rushed into the chamber, his scales pale with shock. "Supreme Commander, we've lost contact with the quantum shipyards in the Helia sector. The humans, they didn't destroy them. They've somehow contained entire star systems in temporal stasis fields." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just developed weapons to defeat the Venari. They had found ways to completely neutralize the Empire's ability to wage war. Every advantage the Venari had relied upon for centuries was being systematically stripped away. "They're not trying to destroy us," Ixilvan said quietly, understanding finally dawning. "They're dismantling our ability to be a threat. This isn't just a military campaign, it's surgery." The quantum array activated again, this time showing Commander Maya Patil addressing the Venari leadership directly. "Your Empire has two choices," she stated without preamble. "Immediate unconditional surrender, or watch as we systematically disable every military asset you possess. We don't want to destroy you. We simply want to ensure you can never threaten another species again." Ixilvan looked around the chamber at his fellow leaders, seeing the same realization in their eyes. The Venari Empire, which had seemed invincible mere days ago, had been outmaneuvered on every level. Their technology, their strategies, their very way of thinking about warfare, all had been analyzed, countered, and rendered obsolete by an enemy they had gravely underestimated. "We thought we were the masters of this galaxy," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of historical change. "We never imagined that while we were playing at Empire, someone else was playing a much longer game. The humans didn't just beat us militarily. They broke our entire understanding of how warfare and technology should work." The chamber erupted in arguments and desperate proposals, but Ixilvan had already reached his conclusion. The Venari Empire, for all its might and history, had finally met an enemy it couldn't overcome through force or technology. Humanity had achieved what no other species had managed in 10,000 years. They had brought the Empire to its breaking point not through superior numbers or resources, but through patience, preparation, and perfect execution of a plan 50 years in the making. 1 month after the Venari surrender, representatives from every major galactic civilization gathered in Earth's orbital diplomatic station, Unity. The massive structure, another testament to humanity's hidden capabilities, hosted the first Galactic Concordat, a meeting that would determine the future of interstellar relations. Director Sarah Chen stood at the central podium, addressing the assembled delegates. The station's quantum arrays broadcast her words to trillions of beings across known space. Behind her, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the black of space, a deceptively peaceful sight given the events of the past month. For too long, the galaxy operated under the assumption that technological superiority granted the right to dominate, she began. The Venari Empire's fall has proven that assumption not just wrong, but dangerous. Today, we begin a new chapter in galactic history. In the audience, former Supreme Commander Ixilvan, now serving as the Venari Provisional Government's representative, listened with a mixture of resignation and dawning understanding. Beside him sat delegates from dozens of species that had suffered under Venari rule, their attention fixed on humanity's spokesperson. Humanity's victory wasn't achieved through superior firepower alone, Chen continued. It was achieved through patience, preparation, and most importantly, the understanding that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when and how to use power. Dr. Marcus Rivera, seated among Earth's delegation, activated a holographic display showing the Forge's latest analysis. The facility had shifted from weapons development to focusing on peaceful applications of their advanced technology. The first projects already promised to revolutionize everything from medicine to interstellar travel. "We reveal now another truth," Chen announced. "The technologies we developed weren't created solely for warfare. Each breakthrough, each innovation, was designed with dual purpose. The same temporal fields that trapped Venari warships can be used to facilitate faster-than-light travel without the need for traditional hyperspace engines. Our quantum manipulation technology can heal worlds devastated by centuries of conflict. The assembled delegates murmured as new holographic displays activated, showing the practical applications of humanity's technological achievements. The neural network Combat Eye had been reprogrammed to coordinate disaster relief efforts across former Imperial space. The quantum disruptors, stripped of their military applications, were being adapted to clean up toxic waste and repair damaged ecosystems. Commander Maya Patel, now heading Earth's new Galactic Security Initiative, stepped forward to address the security concerns that had dominated the past month's negotiations. Humanity has no interest in replacing the Venari Empire as galactic overlords. Instead, we propose a cooperative defense initiative, sharing our defensive technologies while maintaining certain strategic advantages to ensure peace. The proposal was bold. Humanity would help defend other civilizations, while keeping the most advanced offensive capabilities in reserve, serving as peacekeepers rather than conquerors. It was a delicate balance, but one that the events of the past month had proven humanity capable of maintaining. Our 50 years of preparation taught us more than just how to win a war, Chen explained. They taught us about responsibility, about the burden of power, and about the importance of using advancement for the benefit of all. The Forge will now serve as a collaborative research center, open to scientists from all worlds who wish to work together for the common good. In the audience, a young Venari scientist named Kexley found herself nodding. She had been among the first to study the technical data humanity had shared after the surrender. The elegance of their solutions, the way they had approached problems from completely unexpected angles, it had changed her entire understanding of what was possible. The age of empires is over, Chen declared. We stand at the dawn of a new era, one of cooperation, innovation, and shared prosperity. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't defeating the Venari Empire. It was proving that patience, ingenuity, and careful planning can overcome any obstacle. As the assembly moved to discuss the practical details of the new galactic order, Dr. Elena Santos approached Director Chen with the latest data from Project Prometheus. The quantum device that had helped win the war was now revealing new possibilities about the nature of space-time itself. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible, Santos said quietly. Our victory opened doors we never even knew existed. The real challenge begins now, learning to use these advances responsibly. Chen nodded, watching the delegates from former enemy species engaged in earnest discussion about future cooperation. The human strategy had worked better than anyone could have predicted. Not only had they prevented war from reaching Earth, they had created an opportunity for lasting peace. In the station's observation deck, Admiral Vexthor stood with Commander Patel, both watching ships from dozens of species moving peacefully through space around Earth. The former admiral had requested this meeting, seeking to understand the force that had so completely transformed his worldview. You could have destroyed us, he said finally. Why didn't you? Patel smiled slightly. Because destruction is easy, Admiral. Building something new, something better, that's the real challenge. Humanity spent 50 years preparing not just to win a war, but to win the peace that would follow. As the first day of the Galactic Concordat drew to a close, the assembled representatives began to grasp the full scope of the change they were witnessing. Humanity had done more than end the reign of an empire. They had fundamentally altered the way civilizations would interact with each other. The human victory had lasted mere hours, but its effects would reshape the galaxy for millennia to come. In the end, their greatest weapon hadn't been their advanced technology or careful preparation. It had been their vision of a future where strength served wisdom, and power was tempered by responsibility.